systems nominal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Signal array locked. Packet sync confirmed. Welcome all. You're connected to the Colotop Deep Space Signal Relay.
And we're back. Oh, Friday at last. Hope you are well. It's been another busy week, and we're back for a little bit more music production, little chit chat about what I've been up to. Hopefully, if you've got something that you've been up to, you can tell me about that. I'll be keen to hear. And we'll have a look at a piece of music that I've finished. Yay! Happy fried egg to you, Jason. I've got the get up on again today. I don't know whether that's something I'll stick with, but it seems in keeping with being in a space capsule. I really also need to move on to Jupiter, but we're not quite got there yet. I posted up a little bit earlier in the week a meme about drum and bass, ambient, and techno all in one. And it kind of got me thinking as well. The reason why I did that is the piece that I've just finished. And the reason why I'm sort of harping on about that also is it's kind of made me think a lot about specialisation and whether that's a good thing. What it means to sort of focus in on one thing and try and get really good at that versus balancing out techniques and abilities so that you're looking at all sorts of different things. So I'll give you my take on that, and then I'd love to hear what you think in the comments or in the chat. Basically, there was a really good video from Andrew Wong, which I'll post a link to later on. And he talks about his musical career and his YouTube career and how he's sort of pushed away from the idea that most people seem to follow up on, which is trying to get good at one specific genre or one specific style, whether it comes to video or music. So, I'll give you my take on that in a bit as well. So hopefully you can hear me. I should have done that first of all. Can I get a sound check? Jason, can you hear me? And anybody else who's in the chat, please say hi. It'd be really good to connect up with you. On top of that, I will also see if my synths are playing. You hear me? Good stuff. And you hear the synths. Awesome. I'm going to flick over to Ableton. Here we are. And I've still not sorted out the background in my little camera. Never mind. We'll come back to that as well. Okay, this is a duplicate of a session that I used to create my latest piece of music. And in just a minute, I'll give you a preview of that. I'm going to stick that up on Bandcamp. Let me jump back. I'm going to stick it up on Bandcamp. It started off trying to be ambient. I'm normally really good at sticking to a brief, even if it is one that I've set myself. Because as a commercial designer, sticking to the brief is everything. If you deliver something awesome, but it's not what the client wanted, then you've wasted your time. But yeah, I was going to do some ambient music for the background of streams. So when I'm nattering away like this, I thought I don't want to go out and use proprietary music from somebody else or stock music because it's a music channel. I mean, where's the sense in that? So yeah, I thought I'd create some music, but I ended up kind of going, there's something missing on that. So I then started looking at drums, and then I thought, hold on a second, I really like the idea of throwing in some serious drums. So it ended up as a drum and bass track, which I don't know why. Techno's normally my thing, and ambient is the sideline or the thing that can turn into a techno track. But no, this was definitely drum and bass, and I'll be honest, I think it's the best thing I've made in forever. So I'm really pleased with it, and I'll share that with you in a minute. But I used this kind of patch to start off with, and that was going to be my ambient introduction. I also had, as I showed on a previous video, a sequence from a plugin called Sequence Air, and that kind of sounded a little bit like this, if I can get it up and running. There's a little bit more delay and reverb on there than I had originally. So here we go. This one was pretty simple in the sense that there's just two Moog sawtooth waves, some filtering that's changing on a random basis, and then you've got compressor, flanger, delay, and reverb. So this is kind of what I started off with. And then it kind of went batshit crazy. So without further ado, I'll bring up the full track. As I say, I'm going to stick this up on Bandcamp. The only thing that I've not done yet is create some artwork for it, and I'm really struggling on that score. I really want to do something good, and it's in keeping with this track. So have a listen to this and let me know what you think.
Hello? There you are.
I got the vocal samples from a TV series I was watching, so I might have to check out copyright strikes on that. But they're sort of short enough that it hopefully wouldn't matter. I also put a little bit of EQ on them to make them sound like they're sort of distorted. And this drum break here, this is actually converted to MIDI, and then the hits are very shortened. So this synth here has got 3 layers to it, which is where the gated sound is coming from alongside the pads. And then we've got like a 303 style sound coming in. And this is like a polysynth sound with quite a few unison voices in the background. So I really like the way this builds, and I had to make sure that if I was going to keep building, there had to be a drop that was worth waiting for, and I kind of feel like I got there. Let me know what you think. So this is like the lead patch. I really need to learn how to make this kind of sound in Vital, because I know it can do it. Hey Barry, how are you doing? So this sequence that I played earlier on, the first one that I created, this kind of takes the melody into a bit more of a psychedelic kind of direction. There's another patch from Omnisphere, which is doing that plinky sound in the background. That's this one. How are you doing, Barry? And then we got some big choirs. These are samples that I created from a patch in Omnisphere. So there we go. Are we giving drum and bass a go? Yeah, I think so. I don't listen to much drum and bass. In fact, I'll be honest, I don't listen to drum and bass at all, really. But I used to back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I don't know. It kind of went off the boil for me a little bit, or my taste changed. And as I say, I haven't really got much of an interest in it, but I started on this track and it just felt like it needed something. So yeah, I just kind of followed that route. It probably, as I said to a couple of other people, it probably departs quite a lot from all the tropes of the genre, or the kind of standard format of a drum and bass track, because I don't know what those might be. But I just did what I thought sounded fun, and I was really pleased with the outcome. So hopefully you enjoy it. As I say, it's going to go up on Bandcamp, and the theme that I've got in my head for this is like some sort of ghostly ability to shift out of reality and into a different dimension, that kind of thing. So that's where the vocal samples are kind of coming from, and the vibe I was going for. So I need some sort of artwork that's going to match with that for the cover art of the track, but we'll see what I can come up with. Peter T, good to see you. Happy to catch a live, and glad to see you streaming again. Yeah, I'm trying to slot streaming in amongst everything else. I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you for joining in. And DJ Emo, hello, frequency slaves. Hope you're all well. Yes, everybody from the frequency slave genre. Let's keep going. New YouTube update and app. All the AI stuff will sort your artwork or video. That's very true. You know, I could just jump on and do some AI style art. There's a few different tools around now, aren't there? There's so many different things that you can try and explore if you've not got a system yet for creating artwork. There's one that I have played with called Mage. I'm just going to figure out exactly what it's called. I think it's just mage.ai or something like that. Just give me 2 seconds here. Mage space. And that's a free one. You can just use it, and you get like a set number of credits that you can use, and you just play with that. Barry says, indeed, the Amen break. I'm going to try do something tomorrow, hopefully, maybe chat to you. I would love to, Barry. Don't think I can manage tomorrow. In fact, I've got a week in which I've got a bunch of other stuff that I really need to do. But we'll put something in the diary, and we'll definitely catch up. Amen break, yeah, I haven't used that in this one, but you got to sometimes, haven't you? I did find... when I was starting on this, I did just Google search for free breaks. I didn't find an Amen one, but there's millions out there to choose from, so we can certainly find one. If I can't find an Amen break in like 5 seconds flat, if I have 10 seconds, I'm sure I could find one. Write a block killer with them random buttons. Oh, with the AI, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it doesn't take a huge amount of input to come up with something. I mean, you've really got to hone it and have a clear idea of what you want, I think, to create anything with AI stuff. Let me jump back to my chat in here. Yeah, Emo's got every Amen break going. Yeah, there's millions of copies of the Amen break and different variations of it. There's my sample packs, samples, library, samples, breaks. Yeah, I see. I found all these just free in the space of about 2 minutes. So there's tons out there. Doesn't take a lot. Oh, Max for Live device. Right, that's what you need to sort of randomize quickly to get stuff. Max for Live device Snake. Check that out. Will do. Free folder out there of Amen stuff. Yeah, as I say, I did have Amen breaks coming out my ears. In fact, when I first started writing music online electronically, I used a sound card called the AWE32 from Sound Blaster, and that had 16 megabytes, if I remember correctly, of memory that you could put into it, and I just used that for creating samples, loading samples up onto it, like single cycle waveforms, and you could create synth patches using that. You could also put in chopped breaks on there, and as I say, during the late 90s, early 2000s, that's kind of what I listened to a lot, and that's what I was creating as well. So I had big folders of samples, including all the sort of standard drum and bass breaks. But then the piece of kit got broken, and I couldn't really use it anymore. And I took like 10 years off of making music, and then I got basic version of Ableton, little MIDI controller, and just started and spent forever writing 1 or 2 tracks. Just really couldn't get my head around how to sort of create a workflow that worked for me. Then started off with some hardware, and then suddenly everything sort of came together around 2020. And it was only sort of 2021 that I started really kind of posting stuff on YouTube, and we went there. Emo says, made a big beat jam for the first time in ages on yesterday's live. Good fun. I'll have to check that out, Emo. I confess I've not had a chance to check out much of your live stuff recently, but anybody who's watching this, check out DJ Emo's live streams. He does some really cool evolving tracks with the Ableton, not session, what's the word? arrangement view with a few patches set up, but then he builds on it and builds on it and builds on it over the space of about half an hour, and it comes out with like a really cool track at the end of each one. Dukan, which is better for ambient music, FL Studio or Ableton? Well, if I'm going to be entirely honest, Dukan, I've never used FL Studio, but I don't think it's unfair to say it doesn't matter, because there are super pros using both or either. So it's whichever you've got. The rule that I always go by is it doesn't matter what gear, software, or synths, or drum machine, or whatever you've got, just use it and use the limitations of that gear, whatever they might be, to sort of hem you in a little bit. And then inside that box that you've got created of restrictions, that's how you try and be creative. You just use the scenario that you've got. So in a way, me using software and using hardware is problematic. If I really want to say I have one way of working, I can't. I have to say to myself, I'm going to write a piece of music using hardware, or I'm going to write a piece of music using VSTs or whatever. And whatever that limitation is, I try and stick with it, because otherwise you can end up just going off and experimenting forever and you never come up with anything finished. So whatever you've got, Dukan, just use it. If you haven't got anything yet, and you want to get into writing music, my suggestion would be try and find a MIDI controller which is relatively inexpensive, and if it comes with a DAW, which I would advise trying to find one that does come with a free DAW, just use that. I got the Launch Key Mini, which is a MIDI controller that's about this big, just a keyboard with like 4 or 5 dials on it. And that came with Ableton Live Lite Edition, which is it's really good. It gives you like, I think it's 8 MIDI channels, 8 channels that you can use for either MIDI or audio, and 8 sessions. So if I jump back to Ableton, are we? If you look in the session view, it gives you 8 of these columns. 8 of these columns, and then it gives you 8 rows. So whatever you create has to use sort of like the sections you've got there. And then when you jump into the arrangement view, you've got 8 sort of rows with which to work. But for a beginner and with a basic set of stuff that comes with Ableton, you've then got all of the free plugins that you can get and any audio sources you can find that you want to plug in, and sky's the limit. Really, I could have done a piece like this with Ableton Live Lite and a couple of other plugins. So just fill your boots if that's where you're looking to start. Anybody else got any other opinions on that? DJ Emo says, use what works and find your way. I agree with that completely. Some people idolize various bits of gear or bits of software and say, oh, you need to have this in order to make drum and bass, or you've got to have this to make ambient. I disagree completely. Use whatever you've got. Sorry, 1 second. Right, sorry, back with you. As the cat came back in through the airlock. So yeah, that is my little piece. So the other thing I was looking at doing, I was having a chat about specialization, and this kind of touches on what we've been talking about already. So as I say, Andrew Wong put out a video like a year, 18 months ago, where he was saying, if I was to start YouTube, I wouldn't do what I've done. There's a lot of YouTubers that have a very distinct sound or a very distinct style in their videos or the content that they produce. And for that reason, they can build an audience very quickly, because that format becomes almost like the expectation of the viewer or the listener, which is really cool. but you can feel like you get a bit hemmed in if you're the kind of creative person that wants to express different ideas or express different uh, parts of their sort of character. You can find yourself getting a little bit hemmed in. And Andrew Wong was very brave in some ways to say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to just do what I want to do. And as an artist, that kind of gave him the voice to keep exploring different things. However, it can really damage your audience retention. And you have an audience that's expecting, let's say, for example, you do live guitar music. If you're doing 6 months of live guitar and then suddenly you switch over to doing drum and bass, a good chunk of your audience are going to go, huh? Where did that come from? And they'll tune out, which is to be expected. We all have expectations and we all like what we like. But he sort of plowed through and stuck with that. And I've approached YouTube with a similar mindset. I know that if I was to keep playing stuff on the TR-8S and the circuit, which is how I started out, I could have a lot of fun, but I've got other things that I want to explore. And I know that there's going to be some people, particularly who own the TR-8S or the circuit and enjoy that and want to learn more about that. They're going to find stuff that delves into perhaps Ableton or VSTs or just music production ideas or even creativity as a theme, perhaps not to their taste. I'm gonna have to stop again. 1 second, I'll show you why. There we go, sorted. I was getting my legs attacked. So yeah, specialization. Where were we going with this? I think I was going to bring that back. Yeah, Techno Cat, definitely. I was going to bring that back to the whole idea of how you can approach that sort of subject of specializing or diverging from a specialism in a bigger part of either your creative output or even your career. I've very much started out as a specialist in my day job using AutoCAD software to plan interiors, whether that be offices or shops or commercial areas. And for years, that was the one thing that I did and the one thing that I knew. And I think in this day and age, that approach potentially has some pitfalls and some dangers to it. I mean, not just the fact that you can end up with a salary cap if you're good at that one thing and that's as far as it goes, but also the amount of AI stuff that's coming out now and the automation that can take the place of a human operator of a piece of software. Let's say, for example, you become really, really good at I don't know, designing widgets. If the widget has only a certain level of technology behind it, designing those could become very, very easy for a new piece of software or a new AI system to take the place of the designer. So if you're going to learn a specific bit of software and get really good at it, I would always recommend perhaps trying to learn another one that adds something to a different field that is connected to, but not directly connected to. So, for example, as I say, I got good with AutoCAD, and I also then took it upon myself to teach myself how to do 3D graphics, 3D modeling with 3D Studio Max and Unreal Engine, because then the product that I was outputting wasn't just like a CAD plan; it was the concept of an interior, whether that be an office or a shop. And I think that's where my recommendation would be, if you're going to focus on music, let's say, make that your primary focus, but always have an eye on how you can add value around that, whether that be like the visual artwork that goes with it, or the the live performance of that music, not just the sort of recorded version of it, or somehow add to that concept behind the music that you're creating. So all this waffling suggests, I'm trying to suggest, think around what your area of specialism is to give you some sort of backup, some sort of way of diversifying what you do. And again, this is going back to what I was saying on my last live stream about how I think, albeit I love doing music as a live stream, I think also adding some visuals and things like the space station and maybe some graphics surrounding that, it takes away that danger that one element of what you do, if it's automated, suddenly becomes very, very easy for other people to imitate or break down. So, end of lecture. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on that. Hey, Inky Cat and DJ Emo is, DJ Emo's in the chat as well. Nice to see you, Inky. How are you? I saw you on Martin Sturz's live stream a few weeks back, and I didn't get a chance to say hi, but I think we're all in there watching Martin's amazing ambient live productions. So maybe what are we on? We're just over the half hour mark. So I think I will switch to a new Ableton session, and we'll see what we can come up with. Just have a play about. Let's go. Here we go. Download Snake. Download Snake. Yes. Let me see if I can download that. Snake. And what is it? It's a Max for Live device, is it? I don't think I've got Max for Live set up, you know. MDD Snake version 3.22. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that after this. So in the meantime, let's start from scratch with, there we go. Drop it before your instrument. Yeah, Emo, I'll follow up on that, because as I say, I've had a lot of fun doing that last track. But I don't want to go through installing stuff in the live stream. Where are we? Let's see if we can do, I'll do a pad. And I will start off actually with a custom waveform, because I've not really done much with Vital in terms of instrument design, really. Let's randomize a little bit. And we'll create another frame here. Another one here. So these, if you're not familiar with this is the wavetable editor in Vital. And each of these frames here is a specific waveform that you can design or randomly kind of create. And then between each of these frames, the software interpolates it. It kind of figures out what the difference is in those frames and then creates a sound that corresponds. Clear, right? Actually, we'll do one without anything in the lower harmonics for this one. There we go. That's quite high. Two more. And then finally, okay, so if I then go back to my main screen, I've got... That was quite harsh in the middle. Let's add a couple of voices. And we'll change the envelope so it's a bit more of a pad. I'll add an LFO to the wavetable position and make it stereo. And bipolar. Slow that down a little. That middle wavetable position might be a bit too piercing, but yeah, there we go. Okay, and we'll go down an octave on this one. And do like a more simple... yeah, we'll stick with a saw. And we'll plug those two through a filter. And we'll make that slightly dirty, 12 decibel. And we'll change that. Filter cutoff frequency with a random. And we'll change the timing so that it's in seconds, so it's a bit off the grid. And a little bit of reverb. And then what I did with the patch in that track that I played previously was I turned the oscillator volume down for oscillator 3 and then used a new LFO with like a pluck shape to it and then applied that to the level. And if I put that outside of the filter and the effect, so it just goes direct out, and then speed up that. And then of course you can do like crazy stuff with this, like change the... I can't remember how you do that. You can add a bunch of different points and then sort of randomize those. Where are we? So this changes the volume at random, not random, preset levels in a different timescale. So you can get like a sequence. And then of course you can turn that into something more staccato. And we could put that through a second filter and take off the bottom end. And we could use another random to just adjust that cutoff frequency a little. Now, I can't remember exactly how to get every one of those in sync. I think There we go. So every one of these pluck sounds now is synchronized to the metronome rather than being per key press. So let's change that sawtooth to something else. Maybe instead of being a high pass filter, I'll change that to a comb and see how we go with that. Okay. Quite like that. Fumbling about. Let's save that. Mr. That name ain't gonna fly. I'm not saying that name on my channel. Good to see you. Hello. I can't think of a way of pronouncing that name without getting demonetized or banned. Not that I'm actually monetized on the channel, but yeah, that's quite a clever one. Thank you. I'm glad you like the channel. Carlson Hikaro going hard. Speed chess final, says Emo. Did you get into speed chess? I have no idea about speed chess. I know how to play chess, basic chess, like I can't beat anybody. I don't know anything other than the moves and then just play intuitively from there. But yeah, speed chess, cool. Yeah, you're smart, mate. Okay. Synthpad. What are we going to call it? Live stream pad. And we're on 22nd of the 9th, 23. It's a pad. It's a pad. Save. Done. Let's just do a loop with that. I think actually I want to tone down that plucked. And maybe put some delay on there as well. Okay, new MIDI patch, and we'll come up with some string type thing. Do some 8-bit synth. I've never done 8-bit synth. I like to think that I listen to a fair few different genres, but I'll be honest, I probably don't broaden my horizons as much as I should. I just love stuff that has an electronic sound. Jean-Michel Jarre was the first artist that I ever really got into. From there, a mate of mine introduced me to Orbital, and then just this whole sort of plethora of artists came from a mix CD, Trans Europe Express. So Speedy J was on that. There was, who else? Oh god, there was about four. Oh, Biosphere. So I kind of love the trancey stuff from the 90s that explored a little more offbeat territory than sort of club style trance. And then I kind of stumbled across an Aphex Twin album that a mate lent me, and I was like, I don't get it. That was Selected Ambient Works Volume 2, which at the time, everybody who was in the music industry in the know, I think, just went, is he having a laugh? He's taking the mick. Because Aphex Twin's first Ambient Works album was actually really musical, and also had some sort of like hard style acid tracks alongside it. And his other stuff at the time was quite hard acid and dance floor stuff. And then he produced this double album, Selected Ambient Works Volume 2. If you've never come across it, check it out. And it's completely devoid of beats for the most part. And the loops that he uses in it just go on and on and on. And to start with, I was like, I don't get it. But it just grew on me. And it's one of my favorite albums now. It's crazy. Yeah, definitely check that one out. So yeah, my taste in music is very much tied around very unnatural sounds in the sense of computer generated or synth generated sounds. I like stuff with the odd vocal sample, and I like some female vocalist stuff. I've never really latched onto lyrics that much. Maybe I will one day, but there's only a few artists that have produced sort of songs that I really latch onto, but everything else is kind of vibes of ambience and hard rhythms and stuff that get me. So, or 16-bit synth. I like the old school music. Cool. Whatever floats your boat. But for me, yeah, it's kind of orchestral, big stuff like Orbital, and then really minimalist ambient, and then, as I say, just kind of stuff that branches off from there. Okay. Plugins. Do another Vital. Let's go analog. And let's make this really washed out. Go through a filter. That's quite funny with that harsh resonance. That gives you like a little warbling. I wonder if we can then feed that into the second filter. Yes, we can. So taking that patch, that then goes through this filter with that high peak resonance, which gives you a wobbling sound, and then that's then filtered in filter 2. That's quite fun. Turn the mix up. And then I think we want the compressor beforehand. That's nice. I know the math behind the Bode diagram, the eigenfrequency. Eigenfrequency. I don't know what that is, mate. Are we talking? Are we talking music theory and electronics theory? I'm just reading your comments, mister. Eigenfrequency. You just show me the Bode diagram. I'm sorry, I'm a bit lost. Maybe I'm being thick, but I don't understand what you mean. Let's plug that in. Now, if we've got like a constant tone there, we could use an LFO to adjust the volume slightly. I'm confused. Why is that changing the pitch? Oh, that resonance there. Filter 1, that's why. That sounds dreadful. Okay. Let's... There we go. And we got to double the length of that. Sort of get in there. Need something else. Okay. Yeah, as I say, I want to try and do some sort of background ambient, and we'll go with this, and then. Shit, that's not what I wanted to do. I want a new MIDI track with sequence air on it, and then I want another which has got vital on it. And what we'll do is we'll use sequence air to create a step sequence, and that will then play back what's in the vital track. So this just needs a single note. In fact, it doesn't need a note if I remember correctly. I can just start the sequence, turn off its internal synth, and then Vital will look for the MIDI from here. that's playing. I've got to try and remember how this works now. That's in. Let me just mute those two. So we've got a patch playing. Right, so that should be a pluck sound on that patch. And then we want input from sequence air. Oh, you're going to have to forgive me for a second while I try and remember how this works. So that's playing. Audio to none. Oh, that's silly. I can't remember how that works now. Instrument rack, no. Right. Let me save this and then I'll check on my other patch that I created. Save this. Ambience. Set phase shift. There's just a really basic routing thing that I've forgotten how I did it before. And so sequence error has got no input. And then, oh right, I've cancelled the connection that I had. Might have to give that a miss. Maybe if I just stick a single MIDI note in. Nope, that ain't doing it. No, that's not it. Ah, rats. I can't remember. Okay, we'll make a sequence manually. Auto. There we go. This is old school. I've got a keyboard here I should have used, but there we go. Okay, getting somewhere. Slow that down a little bit. And we want some sort of lead. So doesn't sort of have much character to it yet, but using, where are we? Omnisphere, or if you've got a decent sample library, you can add some real sort of atmospheric Foley stuff. If you go out with a microphone and sort of just capture live sounds and then add those to a sampler, come up with some awesome stuff. Just pitch a lot of it down, that kind of stuff. So if I pick, let's go from here, and we'll add something like Noisescapes. Yeah, I think this could do. Supermassive. Something with a big reverb. And a bit of a compressor on top. Okay, I think after getting embedded in that for a little while, I'm going to call that quits for today. I shall see what I can do to finish a little bit more of that off, and that could then be one of the pieces that I was aiming for to sort of sit in the background of the live stream, and we'll go from there. I hope you have had a really good week, and I will, as I say, I will post up that drum and bass track on Bandcamp when I get a moment, and if you are interested in that, then you can download that. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the stream for a bit, and we will catch up again soon. As I say, I'm going to be offline for a week or so, but if you want to ping me messages, you can catch me on Instagram. You can catch me on buymeacoffee.com. There's a messaging function on there as well. Or just leave a message down in the comments, and I try and reply to everything because I really appreciate comments when they come through. So yeah, you will get an answer if you post a question or if you post a comment. So I will catch you soon. Thanks very much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. So I'll see you soon.